this goalkeeper comes out and just grabs the ref by the shoulder and spins him around, knocking him off his feet.
What?
Yes. So did you ever hear an entire stadium collectively gasp and go silent? It's like, I mean,
What's going on?
this ref could not get that red card out of his pocket fast enough. It was
I don't know how you guys do
classic.
it. I don't know how you guys do it.
Training. You train to be a referee. You run a J pattern on the field.
A J pattern.
Yeah, you don't chase the people around. You have a basically an area where you patrol and you're able to see the field, the best view of the field. They call it a J pattern on the, or that's what they told me. They could have lied just to make me run around like an idiot. I don't know. It's like, you run a J pattern. Like, okay.
You know we're live, right? You know we're live. We are now live.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. Well, yeah, welcome back to Focus on You with Phil and Oscar. Of course, he's Phil and I'm Oscar. And but we're just talking about soccer before we came on, and he used to be a soccer coach.
I coached.
Referee, a soccer referee.
I coached and I ref. And you know why I was a soccer referee?
Why?
Because I'm married and I have a daughter. So for 45 minutes once a week, I got the last word. It was well worth the training. It's like, I'm right for once.
So it was an ego thing for you. It didn't matter who won or lost, as long as you made
I just wanted to be
call.
right. Yeah, that's it.
You weren't even watching the game. You weren't even like, taking. I was like, it doesn't matter. I like this team. I like.
And you get a card, and you get a card.
You get a yellow one, and a red one, and a green one. I think
we don't have green ones. No.
Blue one. But yeah, that was always fun. I'm going to tell the story I told you, right? When I went into high school, and there was this big. We had one of our final games, and the referee. You know, we was a rival team. I mean, the game was heated from the get-go. Parents were fighting from the parking lot. Okay. I mean, the game didn't even start yet, and people were arguing over the game, and no calls were made. So tension was high, and and the game started, man. I was on the sideline at the time, and from the first whistle, the other team scored a goal. And our team, of course, was mad and disappointed, and so we went back out there, and this one of these kids kicked the other kid. All I could see was just like people running from the stands, everybody jumping on the field, fighting. The referees were like, "Stop! Wait! No! Stop! Wait!" Until like they realized, look, I'm not getting involved in that.
It's 1 against 40. Yeah, it's not happening.
Next thing you know, the referee, I'm the referee laying on the ground going, "No, I don't have anything to do with this."
Referees in the car calling for backup.
Man, they were just a little too passionate about that game. But today we're going to be talking about turning the tide, okay? Just being able to manage those emotional roller coasters that we go through, and conflict in the house, so like in relationships, because this month we're talking about, this is a relationship month, so we want to talk about just different things that we can do to work out those situations and come to peaceable conclusions. So let's start. Oscar, I'll let you start this one off.
Yeah, well, you're talking about turning the tide. First of all, what started that tide? What got you to the point that you need to turn it? And if we can see a pattern happening, and it's like, okay, this is happening again, and this is going to escalate. Like you saw the pattern in the parking lot. There was already problems. There was already tension. That that game's not going to end well because the problem's coming in, and it's just going to escalate. So before you turn the tide, you have to go back to the parking lot and say, all right, we're going to be nice and we're just going to play this game, and let it play out. But if you come out of the parking lot already heated, and you come into a relationship already with problems, it's not going to end well. So how do we, when I'm looking at turning the tide, just set it back to what caused the problem? There had to be a misunderstanding there somewhere, because nobody goes into a relationship saying, I'm going to screw up this relationship, but it ends up happening. So,
Well, okay, so truth is dysfunctions we bring dysfunctions into our relationships.
mhm.
First of all, so anybody who's single out there, let me tell you something. No matter what the guy or girl tells you, they have got some dysfunctions going on. So all of us have issues that we have to deal with. None of us are perfect.
Are
Well,
you sure?
let me think about that. Let me think about that. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm right. I mean,
Well,
no matter how we think we are, right?
when they say, yeah, he came from a dysfunctional family, I'm like, yeah.
That's every family.
You've never had Thanksgiving at the house? About 3 hours later, all hell breaks loose.
No, but it's always that uncle. There's always that aunt. There's always that nephew. There's always that cousin that kind of stirs it up. Everybody's kind of wondering, where did he or she come from?
Yeah.
Let's trace the family tree.
Let's do a
And
DNA on this guy, because well, I hate to say that, but I'm that guy that will come in and just throw a throw a hand grenade in and walk away and watch it go off. Yes.
what? I didn't do that. I don't know who did that. I don't know who caused that. Oh wow, man! But it's the truth. It's the truth, and we just really have to kind of like face that. I am realizing that we're not streaming on Facebook today.
Okay.
We're on YouTube and we're on Twitter, but we're not on Facebook. So we'll redirect it later. But for those of you watching on YouTube, yeah, Facebook. We'll see you later.
You get the edited version.
Oh, yeah, you get an edited version. Yeah, exactly.
So
But yeah, go ahead.
I took some notes. So one of the things is expectations. Are we going into a relationship with an expectation that's too high? Like,
Wow.
what am I expecting from, my new bride, what am, and if you go again, if you go into a relationship with what am I going to get? That's going to be a very short relationship. What is your expectation if two people come into a relationship expecting to get, it's going to be short.
Yeah. No, because I think, as you said that, I thought about a gold mine, right? You meet someone, it's like finding a gold mine. And you're like, wow, all this treasure, all this great stuff. And I can get until the gold mine is empty. Then you find no value in that mine. And you're looking to move on because now you've sucked that gold mine dry. Yes, when you met the person, they were a gold mine, but you never put anything back in. All you kept doing were taking things away and diminishing until one day
There's nothing left.
there's nothing left. It can't give you anything. Right? And you're wondering, why are they miserable? I am the cream of the crop.
I've emptied the mine and now it's hollow. Now what? Why does it sound hollow? Because you've taken it. Yeah. One of the things that
you've taken out all the resources.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things I heard is a relationship is not 50-50. A relationship is 100-100.
Yeah.
Because if you're only giving 50%, there's a 50% gap in there. So if you're doing, I'm putting 50% into this relationship, it's not going to work either. So it's, I've looked at it, bunches of books and stuff I read. I have a note here in Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza's book. he talks about where focus goes, energy flows.
Mm,
And again,
nice. Love
we
that.
are this weird creature that we're not programmed like a dog is programmed to be a dog. It's only going to be the the best type of dog it could be. You
Mm-hmm.
know, an oak tree
Right.
is only going to be an oak tree. It can't be a palm tree.
Nope.
We were given the
No matter how
choice.
ambitious it gets.
Right, it could be a very ambitious oak tree, but it's never going to be a palm. So
Right.
we are given both dominion over everything except our own mind. We don't take that responsibility to say, what can I do? Again, we're programmed to what can you get? We're in the that old greed is good movie, right?
Right. Yep.
It's like,
That's
what
it.
can I get? What can I get? And
That first Wall Street movie.
right. And
Yeah.
now and I keep bouncing everything off of COVID. It's like now we're at the part where, like, what can I give?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are more people that need than I can take from. So it's our new focus should be bigger than just ourselves. I think that's the only way we're going to come out of this, intact, is to really start, what can I give? What can I give? And if I get something back, it's not going to be directly from the person I'm helping. Put that out to the universe. What can I give? And then it'll come back sooner or later.
You know what, man? Listen, it's like this, right? And this is just how I think of it. This is how, based on my studies, what I've learned about giving is that giving is never it's never self-implemented, right? You don't give into yourself and you give it, you get, right? You have to really give into something else in order to get, right? And that's just how giving works, right? Because you can't demand something back when you haven't put anything out there.
Go try that
And
at the bank. I'm opening
well,
an
yeah,
account
oh
with
yeah,
zero. I want to
I'm
open an
here to
account.
make a withdrawal, please.
Yes. I want to open an account. How much money you want to put in? Oh no, I just want an account and I want to take money out. It's like,
Right, yeah.
you didn't put anything in. You can't get anything out.
And that is the rule of the system within the universe. God made it that way. He made it where, and of course, I'm going to go based on what I scripturally, right? But it's like, whatever you sow, that you reap.
And tithing,
Okay, that's
give
life.
away. You
That's
have to,
life. But
right.
but you look, but like you said this before, there are so many writings out there that confirm. I mean, ancient writings. We call them like ancient writings and culturals and stuff. But it's almost every principle, every foundational principle of wisdom says
It's a
you have to
universal
give
truth.
something
Right.
to get something. Farming. I mean, the basic principle of farming. You got to put a seed in the ground in order to get a tree.
You talk about having, working on faith. Like, you're not going to put the seed in the ground and walk back and find a plant. You literally put the seed in there, water it, water it, wait, you
That's
know,
it.
ooh, it's coming up. And as soon as it comes up this far, a rabbit comes by and eats it. So it's, so you really, you have to go on faith that you're giving, and
Hey,
you get something back. Sometimes you do, sometimes, like I say, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. It's not guaranteed, but
but you have to
give.
cultivate. You
Right.
have to It's like no matter if you value something, you have to cultivate. You have to put your time in. Farmers can lose an entire crop all because of non-preparedness, right? You can lose an entire crop just by not thinking about how, you just saying, oh, I planted the seed, that's good enough. You know, a good farmer is always tending, right? He's always going out there going, oh, wow, there's a squirrel that's trying to get in. Let me put up some barriers to keep the squirrel out. I have to protect that seed, right? I have to protect it. I have to make sure that it grows up to maturity, because that is the only way I am going to get a harvest, right? They don't just plan it and say, well,
I'll be back.
darn it, next year it's this time.
Well,
Next year this time I should have some corn.
You've seen down in Florida when they're hit with a cold spell and the farmers have to put out the heat pots around the trees.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So unless you're prepared, so bringing that back to relationships, are you prepared to have a long-term loving relationship? What is your prep for that? What are what are you stocking up on? One should be gratitude.
That's it. Absolutely.
Giving and gratitude, the two G's.
Absolutely.
Started out, judging people. And again, we tend to judge people by our standards. Are we setting an expectation that's too high? Or are they setting an expectation that's too high for us? It's like, hey, you should be making 500,000 a year and driving a Ferrari. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not there yet. So if you're expecting that, again, if you expect that from me, fine. But plant the seed, don't do the whole thing, but don't like I need that tomorrow. It's not.
We but it's the same. I love using the seed principle because it's just so pliable to real life, right? Because it's like if you expect, like you said, you plant something and you expect that thing to be a tree tomorrow, and you go out there, you don't see a tree, you're going to say, because you right, I'm anticipating, oh wow, this process did not work as fast as I expected it to work. Therefore, I'm going to dig that seed up.
Check it, put it back down, and try to.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to destroy the whole process all because you're so anxious for it to mature. But that's, again, the premise of relationships, is that when you're in a relationship, there is a process, right? There's a process for that relationship to mature. And it's really not based on our expectation, right? It's just the nature of it. If you're no, we're talking about, we're going to go through the 5 steps, right? We have the 5 steps that we use to turn the tide, but one of those is to identify the problem. Right? Now you have like 3 areas that a problem can come from. Of course, the obvious is the external, right? You have no control over it. Hurricane is coming, COVID is coming.
Or even smaller than that is the expectation you're getting from what you're watching, your TV, your radio, what is that?
Right.
Wow. I'm supposed to look like a supermodel. I'm supposed to drive a Ferrari. Like, everyone that I listen to on the radio, is Facebook. Everybody puts out their most successful pictures.
But you're getting the impression of somebody else's idea of what success should look like.
Right. Who sets that standard? And
who sets right? Am I trying to accomplish a socially acceptable standard of success, or should I just achieve success for myself? What's my personal vision of success? Develop a vision for yourself as to what success should look like in your relationship, financially, career-wise. What does your measure of success? I mean, my measure of success is totally different than your measure, right? I mean, when you're satisfied and you say, man, look, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I have nothing to complain about, and I'm easy. I mean, personally, I'm easy, as long as I can take care of my family, and, we can manage whatever is going on around us together. I'm good. Because the rest of it, when you die, you're not going to be like, well, I have, $100 million in the bank.
That's good.
It's not going to be the first thing that comes to your mind, right? It's like you're going to be looking around you for people,
Yep.
right? You're going to be wondering, was my life worth it? Did I do anything to really affect this life before you leave it? Because, I heard, who was it? I think it was you who said this. It's like, you said that when you're dying, you see yourself. No, it was Joel. Joel said it. He's Joel Jaro. He was on our program yesterday. But last week he said, you see your true self when you're dying. And he said, and he was not even, he said unemphatically, it's like you see yourself on occasion, but he's like, you see, when you're looking down, you're like, wow. Now you're wondering, who am I? Why am I here? What have I done? You start asking all these relevant questions when it's too late. Ask those questions now. Am I, we're talking about relationships. So am I treating another person how I want to be treated? Ask those questions. Am I showing value? Is this life all about me? Right? Ask the good questions now while you can make changes. Don't wait for the day to come that you can't make any changes, and that's when you really want to make a change.
There's
That's when
there's I was looking it up. There's a great book called The Death of Ivan Illich, which is exactly that. He's on his deathbed, is basically his last moments, going through
Mhm.
like, what did I do? Did I live up to my potential? What was this life here for?
Mhm.
What did I contribute? And
Right.
and and when you're saying, you have to contribute, and your definition of success, and I got it from Think and Grow Rich and Bob Proctor, that
Mhm.
says success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal. So as long as you're taking those steps towards a goal, you're successful.
Mhm.
Once you get there, that's the problem. People said, like, astronauts that went to the moon. They
Mhm.
came back and like, all right, this sucks. What do I do now? I went to the moon. Well,
Right.
you know, what's
What's the
the
next
next
step after
higher
that?
step? Like,
Mhm.
go to the moon again. I don't, take a, but to set a goal, a realization of what you want, and work towards it, is success.
Mhm.
So you're like reaching, and that, and I'm finding out that reaching your goal is not really where you want to be, because if you can reach your goal, you set it too low. It was like, oh wow,
Well,
that
no, I wouldn't
hurts.
say that. I wouldn't say that. I would say that you set reachable goals to reach your ultimate goal.
Right.
You know, because
In that success ladder.
right, exactly. Because if you set one thing, I realize is that if you set something and you can't reach it, then it becomes frustrating. Right? You get frustrated in the process, and then you go, maybe that's not for it's not for me. Right? Versus like if you set like these little attainable goals, you know, you find that you feel more motivated the next day because now I've reached the goals. I've reached the goals that I've been setting, and those little baby steps help you to reach your ultimate goal.
And it's the
Right?
old how to eat an elephant, one
one
bite at a time,
one bite at a time.
So
I
one
have to remind
step.
myself. I have to remind myself of that on a daily basis because us and you know the deal too. As entrepreneurs, your mind is going, if I don't do this, I will fail. And in failure for an entrepreneur is a non-question.
It's like it's how am I going to fail today and learn from it, and as we say, fail forward.
Right, absolutely, because we anticipate it. I mean, and that's our strength and our weakness is like, when something doesn't work out, what kind of mindset should you have? You should say, the mindset is to turn to tide, is you turn the tide in your mind and you say, I am going to learn from this. okay, what is the lesson? What did I do wrong? And how do I make those changes? And who knows what's the book I can buy?
Right.
What's the tape I could listen to? There's so much information out there now.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the internet. No need to go to the library anymore.
It's true.
Libraries are, yeah,
It comes to us. And
right.
again, looking at failure, like I've said before, Formula 409, the spray cleaner was the 409th time they tried to make that formula.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
WD-40 was the 40th time they tried to make that. So if they would have stopped at Formula 408, like that's not happening.
That's not working, man.
WD-39, we tried
Yep.
39 ways to displace water. That's not happening.
Yep. Or we've really worked up. We've spent so much money already on this project. Let's cancel it now. And then 2 weeks later, some other guy comes up with it. It's like, yeah, based on your last your last trial, I just tried it one more time and I took this one thing out and it worked. And then he
tried
gets
Formula
the praise.
409 this time,
That's
and it
it.
worked. Or that
Do you know how many
10,000th
people
light bulb?
Do you know? Yeah. Do you know how many people worked on the light bulb and there's only one guy that's getting credit for it? And
Yeah.
his name is Mr. Con Edison.
Yeah, and that was a team effort again. And how do we bring that into turning the tide? One of the things, when we're talking about that is, be a team player as part of the next step.
Yes.
Don't be a me. That's the tide again we have to turn. Like let's and we talked about this with the last guest, and I'm old and I can't remember her name right now. But she's like Jacqueline. Yes, like bring in, do it as a team. Be a team player. Be part of a success team. You also don't get blamed for everything if you screw up, which is good. It's like, hey, it was a team effort. The team screwed up, as opposed to this is the way I want to do it. And when it screws up, everybody points at you.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. I mean, the other thing is, I believe with a team, you make less mistakes if you listen.
Yeah.
Because everyone on the team is going to see something that you don't see. They're going to see the problem through a lens that you don't see. And so, and this is going to be specifically to husbands or to men out there. Sometimes your spouse is going to see something that you don't see. For real. I mean, I don't know how women do it. I don't know what happens in their mind, or otherwise. But sometimes they'll wake up with a sense, their spider sense tingling, and we would be like, no, man, everything is going to work out. And they're like, no, I ain't feeling it. I don't think you should do it. And we would be so motivated. But I've been psyching myself up for 2 weeks to do this.
No,
I don't think it's time. And you do it. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, I should have listened. I should have known. Everything, sometimes things don't make sense.
All right.
But it's like, if, sometimes there's a sixth sense out there that, your spouse might be sensing something, seeing something. Maybe they can't put it in words, but you need to pay attention to that.
See, you can't see the forest from the trees. You're busy, and they're
right.
like, hey, there's poison ivy around that tree. Like, no, look at this beautiful tree, but
yeah, but you're like that. Us guys, we could be like that puppy. Oh, treat. We don't care about anything else going on. All we see is treat. Give me the treat. Right? And it's like the moment is after you get the treat, your mind settles down. So you look around, you're like, holy macaroni. I didn't even know that this was coming, right? So, pay attention to some of the voices around you that have your best interest at heart, that have your best interest. Not every voice has your best interest at heart. And even in turning the tide, this is talking about don't listen to everybody that says they're your friend about your intimate relationships. Doesn't mean that they have your best interest at heart, right? I mean, a third wheel in a situation like that is not necessarily, the voice that you need to be listening to.
Unless that third wheel is Joel, and it's someone that is trained to
Right. I mean, you go to, I personally say go to somebody that's not emotionally connected to your relationship. I've found that people that are emotionally connected to your relationship will give you an off balance counsel, right? Oh, he did that. Oh, he shouldn't have done that. You should go and get an attorney right away. Right? They're emotionally connected.
right.
Right? And it's not necessarily that they're a bad person. It's just that they care about you. And because you are emotionally worked up and you're telling them your side of the story to make you feel better, uh, you know,
Yeah,
it's not, yeah.
there's always two sides, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
And right. So that is where you need to get a counselor. You need to talk to somebody like Joel, or you need to talk to somebody like Jacqueline, or somebody like Frank, right? Somebody
You got
who
to communicate to heal the breach. You have,
that's it.
and you need you need a third party in there, like you
You
said,
need it.
not not emotionally connected. So
Yeah,
a
you don't need it.
referee,
Yeah,
you
you
need
don't need an attorney. You don't need an
right.
attorney. You need a referee,
Yeah,
right?
and
Sometimes we jump straight to the attorney when we need a referee.
being a referee, you are dispassionate with the game. And there were times that I had to referee my daughter's team because the referee didn't show up. I had my referee gear in the trunk, so I was like, "Can you ref?" I'm like, "Sure." And I'd call the plays as it'd be another team with nobody that I know, and I've had people on my team criticize a call I made, like, "How can you make that call?" It's like, because this is what happened. It doesn't matter that it's somebody on my team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is
It's
no longer your team.
nope. I
Yeah,
hit the field.
yeah,
I'm the
you're
ref.
neutral.
Right.
Yeah, you're a neutral person. But not everybody can really do that. They don't have the moral compass to do that or to differentiate, when they should just be straight on, in a neutral position. So, but as in saying, just when it comes to, communicating, if you're communicating with somebody that is emotionally attached to your situation, they're not going to give you a balanced counsel. So it's great, you have to get on, get connected with a counselor that's going to hear both sides from a neutral position, and plus you're paying them to be neutral.
Right.
So
So
if they,
hey,
and one thing I realize about couples too, they could be fighting, they could be disagreeing, and the moment they go into a session with somebody that's not balanced, that's when they leave the counseling session like, I don't like what he said. I mean, either because and they can agree. They can agree on somebody that's giving
both of
them.
them don't like the counselor.
We can
Well,
agree on that. Oh yeah, I
I've,
don't
I've
like him.
I've had people that I know that are police officers that say when they get a domestic dispute call,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you don't want to go there
Mm-hmm.
because and one said there was they got called because there was a fight going on in the apartment, and they walk in there and the guy's beating on his wife, and they grab him and they throw him against the wall, and the wife starts beating on the cop saying, "Leave my husband alone." And
It's
it's that kind of
true.
yeah.
It's true because here's the thing: the problem is never just what you see on the surface. What's going on in people's relationships, they know.
Well, here.
They honestly know they know what their dysfunction is. I have a really deep feeling that people know what their dysfunction is, but they just have Joel said it, but they just have a hard time facing it.
Yeah, there's something called an RAS, a reticular activating system. That's the part of your brain that, I said where focus goes, energy flows. That's the part of the brain that lets you see what you're looking for. So if I know you've done it. You know what? I'm looking to get a BMW. Every third car is a BMW on the street that you didn't notice. Like,
And the
how did
color that you
everyone
love.
how did everyone get a BMW all of a sudden? And then it's like, and whatever it is that and that's built into the primitive brain,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're looking for food, your brain's going to say, all right, what are we
Mm-hmm.
looking for? Everything else goes gray. We're going to find that food.
Right.
So when
Right.
you're focused on, oh man, they left the toilet seat up again, you know, that's what you're focused on. Everything is being thrown into that funnel. So your focus, your RAS amplifies that, and it's going to find not only that the toilet seat's up, but that the spoon is out of place, and
Mm.
the plate wasn't washed, and now all of a sudden everything stacks on top of everything else, because
Yeah,
that's what your brain is looking for. Your brain's
that's
saying,
it.
what else did they do wrong?
Right.
And now it circles and spins out of.
You know what, man? Listen, this relationship thing is so profoundly deep because it affects everything else around us, right? And the one thing we all should leave with is respect the person and the process, right? All of us. The point of love is that all of us are respecting the fact that we're not perfect, and we're all in the middle of a process. WIP, right? We're all in the middle of WIP, work in progress. So none of us have really reached. The point is to really just love somebody despite their shortcomings.
Well, the
Right.
problem is this: we're all listening to the same station, the WIIFF. What's in it for me? WIFM. What's in it for me is
Right.
is the radio station we're listening to. So again, change that channel. It's like, what can I do for you
Mm-hmm. You see,
first?
the thing about that channel is that by the time you sign off, you're by yourself. Because if you care about other people, then you will find that there are other people that will be drawn to you. But if you just tune into that station, the only person you're feeding is you. So the only person you're investing in is you. So when you're laying there and you're like sick, somebody help me. WIFM is like, you're the only one in the room, sir. No one is taking your phone calls.
I, I,
Sorry.
I saw this really good cartoon. I never forgot it. It's, these people are sitting around a circle, and they have a spoon that is 3 times the length of their own hand,
Hmm.
or their own arm. So they're trying to feed themselves, and it's impossible, because you can't get your arm far enough to get the spoon in your mouth. But then someone realizes that spoon can reach the next person without a problem.
Hmm.
So then that whole circle now starts feeding each other
Hmm.
rather than trying to feed themselves. And that's always hit me like, why am I trying to feed myself with something that's not working? That same effort can be put out to help someone else.
I mean, and just to work on that point that you just said, and we should really respect the human ability to change and affect our own nature. We are the only creatures on this planet. We're the only creatures on this planet that have adjusted and worked our will towards becoming something else.
Right. It's what we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
The dog is only going to become the best, retriever he can be.
yeah,
He's not going to be a
exactly.
water dog. He's not going to be a lab. You throw him in the water. It's like, no, I don't want to swim. You
That's
know,
it. I mean, we can't really compare ourselves to an animal because even though we have a natural aspect to us, we're more than that because we have a way of an ability to uh assess ourselves not just physically but emotionally, spiritually. We have an ability to study ourselves
and learn
and learn,
and
right? and
recreate.
and study others and study our environment. That is the greatest thing about being a human being, is that we can step aside and say, I am going to change,
We are
and
literally,
literally change.
no limits. And I forgot, I think it's Wayne Dyer wrote a book, How to Be a No Limits Person.
Mm,
And it's like these self-imposed limits that we put on ourselves are keeping us from being the best we can be. And that same limitation is probably also being carried over into relationships.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, like the old the engines that have a governor on it that won't let you go past a certain speed limit.
Right.
So I think the whole thing that we're doing in this series is learning about limitations, learning about how to overcome these limitations, learning to speak to people that have been there, done that, and are professionals in helping you break through whatever that limitation, or you're a goldfish running around in a little tiny goldfish bowl. And this, I saw this live. You put that fish in a bigger fish bowl, and it's going to keep going around that little tiny circle. It was the weirdest thing to watch. Like, look, you're free.
Mhm. They
It's like
said, they use the
that's
same example for an elephant. When you
right.
tie an elephant's leg to that little post, as a baby and it can't move, that elephant grows into that mindset that but I mean, like, well, there are humans that are like that.
We're all like that
We're
unless we
all, we're
learn
all
to question. Like, wait a minute, is
right.
this little chain holding me in the,
That's
like
it.
that baby elephant is chained to a tree.
Hmm.
And then as they get older, the tree gets smaller, the post gets smaller, and the chain gets lighter.
Right.
But in there, it's like chain post. Yeah, I can't move. But here's the deal:
Hmm.
if that elephant ever breaks that once, you will
It.
never get that animal back. Under that chain. They're like, you know,
AKA break
yeah,
that chain.
break the chain. But the problem
Break the
is
chain.
we
Yeah.
don't learn as fast as the elephant does. We're given the ability to break that chain, and we go, hey, that's a great idea, but I kind of like it. It's I'm used
Oh,
to
wait a
this.
minute. I felt safer. I felt safer just being stuck to that
Excuse
little
me,
thing
excuse me.
there.
The post came out. Can you put that back in the ground, please?
Oh my
This is
goodness.
scary. This is like it's loose. Now what do I do?
All right, so we're at the end of our time, but listen, and all of you who are watching, please post your comments, questions, because we want to hear what you have to say. Even if you've had some experiences with, good relationships, bad relationships, kind of, sort of okay relationships, let us know, because we're going to be going into talking about parenting and all these different facets of relationships. Coming up next is going to be Karen Mayo and Mikhail Fisher from Fisher Fitness, and mindful eating. We're going to be talking about relationship with ourselves and food, because what we eat does affect the way our bodies and our minds work chemically. And so you could be um, balanced emotionally, but the moment your chemicals go off, that's it. You're wondering why you're feeling things that you shouldn't be feeling, and just your sugar might be just driving your body crazy. So we're going to learn more about that coming up next, and we look forward to learning from the team that's coming on next. So we will see you then. Don't forget to tune in, and we will be repeating these programs. So share them with your friends and family. Don't forget about our promotion and about where you can receive a gift of up to $100 or $50 or $150 if we combine the offers, and actually retain the services of those within our network, as well as just watching these programs. We want to give you an opportunity as much as possible. Thanks again for watching Focus on You with Phil and Oscar, and we will see you next week. Yeah, we're going to be on from 12 to 1 from now on. So just keep your eyes open on Wednesdays for us.
And if you have
we're going to be talking about different subjects.
Yeah, suggestions for subjects, send them on in.
That's it. That's it. I mean, we even want to start talking about a little bit of sports based on what we know. Anyway, we'll stick to our strengths, right? But you know, we're definitely here for you. We want to talk about what you're interested in, and so we'll see you in a few minutes as we bring on our next guest. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.